Welcome back to the Market Report Show on ADBN. And here we are today. We are looking at issues around the crude for Naira sales policy of the federal government. We are looking at the possible extension of this particular contract between Dangote refineries, the NNPC, and other local refineries in Nigeria. But the end point is, how are we going to benefit from this extension? A very good day to you, Mr. Jeremiah, who is joining me all the way from Lagos to discuss this particular topic. A very good day to you, sir.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Glad to have you once again on this issue of the petroleum sector. You have been a very good analyst in this regard, sir.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.
All right.
It's a pleasure. Thank you once again.
Okay, let's start. There was a meeting on Monday. There was a meeting last week, Friday, that ended in no resolution. There was also another meeting that happened just a day ago. That was on Monday, and there was no resolution given to the press. But there were indications that because the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has indicated interest in this kind of policy, there could possibility of extension. Now, what we are looking at, how the extension will benefit the Nigerian government, benefit the economy, and benefit ordinary Nigerians. But from your own angle, why are we having it so tough to just say, let us go for an extension? Because all this meeting that I've been going for, as if the self-interest playing out that doesn't want this extension to go forward, or this extension to come.
Okay, first and foremost, the arrangement is basically between NNPRC and Dangote. So politically, you have the technical subcommittee that oversees the Naira-for-Crude policy. But the administrator and the facilitator of that policy is the NUPRC. They are saddled with the responsibility of supplying crude to local refineries. So the technical subcommittee initiated a meeting to slated for Monday. That's on Monday. Unfortunately, they gave NUPRC an order that make sure you come up with a plan on how you would provide Dangote and other local refineries with crude. But because they were unable to work out a plan, and why weren't they able to work out that plan, is because they have limited crude supply. Over 500,000 barrels per day has been sold in advance to foreign buyers. And Nigerians need crude in dollar to service their revenue. So all of that back and forth has hindered that meeting, because NUPRC need to say, okay, come up with a plan on how you will be giving Dangote refinery and other local refineries crude. So they were unable to come up with that, and that was why the meeting was postponed.
Very interesting. Although we are hearing from you, who's an insider, a stakeholder in that regard, it's quite very, very interesting for us to take. And I know many of our viewers will now understand the intrigues playing out in this regard. But according to the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu see this as a wisdom to be able to address some of the challenges that we are having in our oil and gas sector as well as in the FX market. But going forward, what do you think the NUPRC must do at this point in time, so that the next meeting they are meeting, they will not come with any other excuse again?
Okay, basically, the only way out is for an increase in production of crude. Currently, our daily production is 1.5 million per barrel daily, which is pretty low compared to the forward sales they've done and other obligated customers, foreign customers they have. So it is not easy servicing your forward sales, servicing current foreign buyers, and also servicing the local refineries with 1.5 million barrels per day. So the only way is to up it to a 2.5 million barrels per day. That is the only way local refineries would have sufficiency in crude.
Now, talking about meeting up the supply, meeting up the production, What are the current challenge in the production angle of or the exploration angle of this crude oil? Are we still faced with some of those itinerant, tight-mouth issues of oil theft, vandalism, and the rest of them? Because I know the government have said they have been able to procure security within that regard.
Well, basically, it is insecurity and oil theft in the exploration part. So the NUPLC, I am aware they are working hard and looking forward to ways where they could reduce the theft and increase production. If theft in that sector is being reduced to the barest minimum, our production will increase and the local refineries will have access to crude and there will be a balance in the pump price.
Very interesting. Now, let's take a review of the first 6 months that was given to Dangote. How will you assess that first 6 months in terms of the crude that was supplied to him, and what are the benefits that accrue to it in the first 6 months that you think that it necessitates another contract for him?
Thank you. Well, the first 6 months started in October 1st, 2024, and the agreement they signed was a 385,000 barrels per day. But unfortunately, they were doing 100, 110, 120,000 barrels per day. That is even below average, below 50% of what they are supposed to give Dangote. So Dangote has been sourcing heavily outside the country from Brazil, from USA, and all of that. So the contract or the policy is good, but we still have issues with production, with supply. I told you that there's a whole lot of commitment on the NUPLC angle. They have a lot of commitment. They have forward sales that they've done that is running in trillions of naira, and also they have foreign buyers that they are committed to, that they must keep their relationship and their business terms with them. So all of that has not allowed NUPLC to give Dangote more than 20, 30, 40% of the agreed crude.
Very interesting. And the perspective you are even painting right now, suit the narration of our discussion today. Now let's not look at let's appraise the challenges. Most of us have heard about the challenges, lack of production, insecurity, but beyond this, what are the other intrinsic challenges that most of us are not getting? Because people are saying that there could be politics around it. So do you agree there are politics around this supply to Dangote and the rest of them?
Definitely. There are also politics. There are a whole lot of politicking regarding the Naira-for-Crude deal with Dangote. I said the last time I was here, I said we have 3 major blocks in the downstream sector. At the moment. We have the NNPCL, which is one of the blocks. NNPCL is in charge of, they are part of the downstream sector. They have retail outlets, they have depot, and they are also into exploration. And we also have Dangote that is fully in downstream sector, refining and storage and distribution to the retail outlets. And we also have the importers, the marketers, the depot owners. They've been around for donkey years. So there's a whole lot of politicking. NNPCL, they are trying to see how they could gain their grant. They have refineries that are not fully functional. It's just a game of who is in charge of the downstream sector in Nigeria.
Exactly. Now let's go to this issue of marketers. Just yesterday, Depot Owner Association said the crude for Naira is affecting FX. The government said crude for Naira will help them to stabilize FX. Who are we going to believe between these two groups? Is it the government or is it depot owners who are saying that the crude for Naira is affecting our reserve because we can't make more dollar and put in our reserve? Meanwhile, the government is saying that this crude for Naira will help us to stabilize foreign exchange in Nigeria. So who are we going to go with? Is it the depot owners or the government in this regard?
Okay, well, we have both arguments. From the depot owners, that's the DAPman.
Yes.
DAPman is saying that internationally, the currency used for oil transaction is dollar.
Exactly.
Dollar is a worldwide used currency for transaction. They are now saying, why are you dealing with Dangote with Naira? We know Naira is not the international currency used.
Exactly.
So they are of the opinion that internationally, we are scaring investors. And we are also hampering their business. That if they want to deal with Dangote, it should be a dollar deal. And everybody should be on a level playing ground. Not giving Dangote in Naira. Dangote would most likely have a hedge, have an hedge over them. Why they struggle? If you look at it, in the last 2 months, Dangote has reviewed price severally. He has reviewed, in this year alone, Dangote has reviewed his price 3 consecutive times. So, looking at all of those downward review, the depot owners are feeling the pains because that man is saying their landing cost is still very high compared to what Dangote is giving to them. Because as at last review, Dangote coastal price, when I mean coastal price, prices through the ship was 780 per liter. That if you are coming to buy over 10,000 metric tons, that is over 10 million liters. We are going to give you for 780 naira. That is for the coastal price. Those that are coming through the ship, coming with their ship to buy. And that man is saying that for 780 for coastal price, you are selling 825 for truck, 2 million liters above. That if we buy 780 from you, our running cost down to our storage facility is over 50 naira. That is running to 840 naira.
Exactly.
Our own landing cost. Because we have other logistics, we have the shipping, we have the MP and all of that we're going to incur. That it is a no deal for us. That is why they were unable to patronize him. They kept importing. So it is more of Dangote has a leverage from the federal government through the Naira-for-Crude deal. That is why he has the ability to keep reviewing prices. But for the importers, that to get finance, the cost of finance is over 33% interest rate. They have NNDPRA costs. They have MPA costs. They have a whole lot of costs attached to importing petroleum products. So with that, their landing cost is way, way, way higher than what Dangote is giving them. So that's the argument the depot owners are trying to put forward.
But in the wisdom of the government, don't they see that the government is quite right to engage in crude for Naira or Naira for crude in this wise? Instead of allowing this hanky-panking, either they are saying it's a level playing ground for everybody, but in the whole essence of this issue now, is the government not right to engage in Naira for crude?
Personally, it is a right decision. It is a right policy. Because the Naira for crude has a whole lot of benefits. It has a whole lot of good and harm. It is going to strengthen our Naira. Because the pressure on Naira will be reduced. Because importation of petroleum products is heavy. Averagely, for last week, our daily oil and gas reports prepared by PetroleumPrice.ng reveals that 135,000 tons, metric tons of PMS was imported into Nigeria through all the old seaports, the Lagos seaport, the Calabar seaport, the Warri seaport, the Honest seaport. And that is heavy. If you convert that to FX or to Naira, it is heavy. So that means they buy all of that in dollar. They place heavy pressure on Naira to source for FX. So it has negative effect on our Naira. That is one. Two, I said it earlier that the only alternative to drop in price in Nigeria as we speak is the effectiveness of Naira for crude. If crude is being given in Naira, price will drop. We saw it. Dangote stopped, he suspended sales. Why? He cannot keep selling at that rate. Why? He is unable to source for crude in Naira. At the moment, he has reviewed his price to 815 Naira for 2 million liters. And that is pretty good. Reason being that he is receiving crude from Nigeria. As soon as the crude stopped, he stopped the sales of PMs. So I think the crude for Naira is a laudable achievement and a laudable policy.
Quite, I agree with you to that, and I know many of our viewers will also agree with you. But let's go forward now and talk about solutions to some of the controversy around this Naira-for-Crude policy. But let's first take the issue of other local modular refineries. How are they taking along in this new game? How are they taking along in this new policy? I was supposed to have the opportunity to discuss with the Crude Oil Refinery Association of Nigeria, but they promised me they will soon come very soon to join me on this show. But looking at those local refineries, apart from Dangote, what is happening to other local modular refineries? Are they also having this, 60,000 crude oil barrels they're supposed to have, 20,000? Is it also given to them, or just this Dangote owned is just what we are hearing?
Well, quite frankly, it is a tough one for the local refineries in Nigeria. Those that just need 20,000 barrels per day, 50,000 barrels per day, and thereabout. So it is a tough one. Quite frankly, it's a tough one for the local refineries. So the Naira, though, according to Section 109 of the PIA bill, it clearly states that local refineries should have access, unhindered access to crude. But they weren't clear. They did not state that it must be in Naira. The Naira-for-Crude is a initiative by the government. They know if we introduce Naira-for-Crude, it's going to help them have control, a partial control over the price, and prices will definitely drop. So the Naira-for-Crude is a good one. The local refineries are having it hot, but because Dangote is just like the elephant, it's just like the elephant. That is why you see the whole back and forth. Other refineries are really feeling it, but with the voice of Dangote, I'm sure things will put in perspectives.
Exactly. Now, talking about the PIA, if you are to suggest to Nigerians, suggest to the National Assembly, suggest to federal government, and all stake players in this industry, do you think we need to review that PIA to allow for this Naira-for-Crude to come in, so that local refineries can begin to access this crude in Naira form?
Yes, that is a very good and laudable one. That the PIA should be amended. It should be stipulated that Naira should be exchanged for crude for local refineries, because that is the only way prices drop. If you are to buy in dollars, prices will still remain a bit high, and it's going to have negative effect on our economy. It's going to have negative effect on the local refineries, on growth of local refineries, because if they buy in Naira, it will help them grow better and faster. So I am calling on the National Assembly to also look into how they could amend the PIA bill and state it clearly that local refineries should have access to crude in Naira.
I love what you have just submitted right now, or your submission in this regard, because a lot of Nigerians look forward to this crude for Naira, Naira-for-Crude policy of the government, and they applauded when it was passed or when it was allowed. And when the federal government now set up a technical committee headed by the chairman of Federal Inland Revenue, Dr. Deji, Adedeji, it came out as one of the laudable policies of the federal government, and many of us, applauded it. We celebrated it on this platform also. But going forward into the discussion, and also looking at solution to some of the controversy around it, is that in terms of NNPC participation, there is a 450,000 barrel per day or 750,000 barrel per day that NNPC is supposed to be assessing. Can't that be given to the local refineries to use this? The two NNPC refinery, as we speak right now, nobody can even say whether they are functioning or they are in partial function or they are in full function as we speak right now. Can't that 650 barrels be given to all these local refineries?
Unfortunately, we don't even have the crude. The 450,000 barrels, you say that is supposed to be allocated to NNPC, they don't even have it. They've done a whole lot of forward sales. They've done a lot of pre-sales in trillions of naira.
No. Olatide, hold on. Please, can you explain to our viewers what you meant by forward sales? Because a lot of them will be confused that we have heard about crude oil swap. But from your own angle, you are talking about forward sales. What is forward sales all about?
Okay, thank you. In 2 years ago, Buhari's administration transacted with some foreign buyers through crude. And what they did there was that they gave crude in exchange of dollars. Now, I would explain. It simply means that for a particular period of time, you would have access to this particular quantity of crude. But we need the payment in advance. Okay, we are signing a 3 years contract. You would have access to our crude, these barrels per day for these particular years. Pay us this money in advance. So they've done a 3 years contract. They've done a 5 years contract with so many foreign buyers with a particular quantity of crude, that's barrels per day. So with all of that, as we are exploring daily, those foreign buyers are obligated to some reasonable number of those crude based on the agreement. So we have just less than 30 to 40% left for sales and less for the budget. And the budget has to be furnished.
Exactly.
So all of those factors has really closed those gaps where local refineries would have access. So the only way is just increasing production. Production really needs to be worked on. 1.5 million barrels per day is small because over 50% has been sold in advance. They've collected the money in advance, and some contracts is for 3 years, some is for 5 years, some is for 2 years. So the only way is crude oil being increased to 2.5 million barrels per day or 3 million barrels per day. With that, there will be sufficiency for those that are bought in advance. There will be sufficiency for our committed buyers, our foreign committed buyers, and there will be sufficiency for the local refineries, the 22 licensed local refineries in Nigeria.
Exactly. Well, you have made it so simplified that, and I believe that many of our viewers will understand what advanced sales, crude oil swap, or forward sales is all about. Now, let's also take another very controversial issue around this crude oil for Naira-for-Crude oil issue. It's about, talking about revenue of the federal government of Nigeria. A lot of people have argued that with this particular policy, the 19 trillion the federal government is expected to earn in 2025 for budget may not be actually achieved if this crude oil policy, crude for Naira-for-Crude, continue this way. Do you agree with that sentiment argument?
Yes, and apart from that, we all see that our budget is being benchmarked to $75 per barrel.
Exactly.
And as I speak with you, the price has been climbing recently. The price dropped in the last 2 weeks. The crude oil price dropped to 69 barrels, $69 per barrel. That's in the last 2 weeks. So it has been climbing in the last 2 weeks. And as I speak with this morning, before I came up for this interview, it was $73.54 per barrel. That is a bit less than our benchmark. So it is a minus. It's a deficit for our revenue already. It's a deficit already. So, and some persons also argue, which I partially believe, that the Naira-for-Crude is also a deficit because there will be a form of credit sales done between the local refineries and the government.
Exactly.
Which might not be favorable to them. They might want the foreign buyers that will pay them in dollars, and that will pay them immediately. Because Nigerian crude is a sweet crude. It's one of the best crude. It's a crude that is being sourced for all over the world. So they will prefer the foreign buyers that pays them in dollars immediately, and our budget will be furnished than the local refineries that might even be requesting for a credit facility and all. So I think that is the argument from both sides.
Very interesting. And the argument from both sides are quite balanced, because if you take a judgment of it, if you want it in dollar, you get it. If you want it in naira, you also get the benefit, because Nigerians are looking for a very affordable and accessible PMS pump price. And that's why the government think it's a wisdom to apply than to allow naira to use naira to access crude oil in Nigeria. But going forward, before we round up, what will be your expectation as the next meeting of the technical committee with NUPRC, NNPCL, and the NMPDR, and all of them meeting together, and Dangote and others? What will be your expectation come in the next 7 days? They'll be meeting again, because in the next 7 days, this committee will be meeting, and they expect NUPRC to come with that plan. So what do you expect? Are we, from your own projection, are we seeing an extension? Because from President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, you want this to be sustained. But how it's going to be done is now left for the technical people to look at. But from your own angle, a stakeholders, the player in that sector, what is the expectation come 7 days time when the meeting will be holding?
Okay, as I speak with you, the price of petrol at the depot is close to 900 per liter. It has moved up so swiftly in the last 7 days because of Dangote suspended sales. If things are not worked out between the technical subcommittee and Dangote, the price at the depot might hit 950 between now and Monday. And as I speak with you, in Abuja, the prices of petrol at the pump is between 930 to 950. In Lagos, it is above 900 from the 850, 860. And it is because there is no more competition between the private depots and the refinery. Before now, we have the refineries, we have the importers. Intense competition has reviewed price drastically to 840, 850 at the pump. But because of the unavailability of that competition in the last 7 days, it has gone up. And if care is not taken, the price might hit 1,000 in no time. So I am calling on the technical subcommittee, I'm calling on NUPRC, and I'm very sure that the government of the day, they understand the yearnings of Nigeria.
Exactly.
That petroleum products has influence on every other product in Nigeria. I'm sure in the next 7 days, they will work out a solution and come with a concession on how they could be giving Dangote some reasonable number of crude till March 31st. And March 31st is even around the corner.
Exactly.
And I'm very sure the reason why they are saying this next week is that they want to sign a new contract. Because by March 31st, the 6-month contract will end. So by next week, it's either they are signing a fresh contract with a new terms and technology, and they are going to do something new. But they cannot afford not to provide Dangote with crude in naira. If not, the price will go up and there'll be crisis in pump price.
Olatide, in 20 seconds, what extension do you expect? Is it 1 year, 2 years, or 6 months?
Well, 1 year would be a good one.
Exactly.
With 1 year, they've done 6 months, and naturally, it's okay that it's extended to 1 year. So I am saying that 1 year is going to be a good one. A 1 year contract is good, and 1 year is not enough. There must be transparency in that 1 year. Exactly. Make sure that the number of barrels per day agreed by both parties are met.
Exactly.
Not you agreeing on a particular quantity and giving lesser quantity to him.
Exactly.
If all of them are met, the price will drop.
And let me take it from you that a 1-year extension will be good for Nigeria. It's also help the FX market. Thank you so much for being on the show today. Even though it was a short notice, I have to just bring you on. But you have been very, very fantastic, very insightful, very perspective in this part of the discussion. Thank you for being on the show today.
Thank you, sir. It's my pleasure.
All right. And I hope when I call you again, you are glad to be here.
Definitely, I'll be here. It's a pleasure. You guys are doing a great work.
All right. Thank you so much for giving us that applause. That has been Olatide Jeremiah, the CEO of PetroleumPrice.ng, one of the leading think tanks in that sector of the Nigerian economy. Now, take a look at the prices of petroleum products, analyze and tell us what is happening. Just like you rightly said, over 136 million liters of petroleum was imported into Nigeria between January and now, and that has affected the FX in Nigeria. Meanwhile, we are expecting an extension. Many Nigerians are hoping that the government will extend this Naira-for-Crude policy because it has already helped us to understand the price of PMS pump price at retail outlet. This will be the size of our show today. So we will come your way next time. I want to say thank you very much for being on the show and staying tuned for ADBN to watch the show today. Till we come your way next time, have a great day.